Big Sills. Seth Joyner wants some Howard-esque ass. There you go. That's when you know you got a lot of money. you could say shit like that. So I guess Howard-esque on WIP disrespected Seth Joyner. And Seth says that the Eagles need to run the ball more. I don't think that that's a psychotic take, especially with an injured quarterback. That's not a psychotic take. Plus, that's what they do best. And Howard's like, well, they got Dude, the reason they got two 1,000-yard receivers is because you run the ball the way you do. So Howard, of course, being a guy who sat in the stands his entire career. By the way, I love Howard Eskin. Been on the program. You know I love him. And Seth is like this. I don't really like to break glass. See, when you're a dude like that, or you're a guy who was involved in hand-to-hand combat sports, like football, there's a part of you that takes, 25 years. Hey, Tony, it takes about 25 years for you not to physically beat the shit out of people anymore. Like when people get stupid around you, you got to go, slapping a guy in the face is not really where it's going to be. You see, in those places, in those locker rooms and in that environment, people get slapped around. I'll give you a quick story. You guys probably never heard the name Crawford Kerr. He was an offensive lineman for the Cowboys. And there was a young defensive tackle by the name of Jeff Roth. They both went to Florida, just different times. And Crawford's one of these guys that go dark on you in a minute. He'll just go dark on you. So this guy starts playing with his pen, like flipping his pen around on his desk. I looked over at Jeff. I said, man, this guy's going to go dark on him. And he's just going to beat the shit out of him. There's some guys in that room, man, that have no sense of humor. And he's one of them guys. Sure enough, Crawford jumped up and pounded him because he thought he was being disrespected. And the kid goes, I was just flipping his pencil around. I said, it ain't about the pencil, kid. It's about you invading his space. Hey, that's what that's about. Kid goes, oh, I go, dude, there's certain guys in this place that are this close to being criminal and homicidal. You got to know that. Not everybody's got a great personality. Shit, I threw a dude off a roof. I mean, it happens. Albeit it was a little one. Hey, man. So Seth wants a piece of Howard Eskin's ass. How you doing? Hey, I tweeted it out, and I have like popcorn and beer. Actually, it was a first story window into a snowdrift. It sounds more, and it's not. I did get thrown out of school for it, though. I did get thrown out of school. Oh, you want to go there? Dual threat. What's good, Rocksteady? Hey, so is your boy on the injured report? Is he? We'll find out a little later today, right? By the way, I think Kevin Byard's going to start this weekend. All signs are pointing to that. I think that guy's going to either start, or what they're going to do is they're going to start one guy, and this guy's going to get 90% of the reps. He's going to start. I feel he's going to start. Okay? He's going to start. The other news, besides us getting into the NFL, week 8 of the NFL starts tonight. Bills and Buccaneers. Jim Harbaugh's finally admitted to is it cheating? I didn't know that scouting another team was cheating. I didn't know that you couldn't scout an upcoming opponent and somebody in your conference. Doesn't that seem weird? Like, So like I get you get all the game film, but you can't send scouts to say, if you're Michigan, you can't send scouts to Ohio State to watch the game and take notes of what the teams do and how they see if you can pick up any kind of signals that they do on the sidelines. That's illegal. I didn't know that. I thought everybody did that. I had no idea that you couldn't scout the team you're playing in your conference. What a weird play. What a weird rule. And, I mean, I don't think it's cheating. I mean, you can't scout a team you're playing. He goes like this, Real goes, you can, but you can't record it. Why? You could just record it off the TV set. All you have to do is, and by the way, you get game film on Michigan. What's the deal? So you're trying to steal signals on the sidelines. I don't know. I mean, hey, let me ask you this. What's Jim Harbaugh's record in bowl games or against SEC teams? Isn't he 1-5 or something like that? 1-6 in bowl games? Looks like that sign stealing has really helped him out a lot. I mean, what's his bowl record? Right? What's his bowl record? He'll be in the NFL. He'll be the Chargers' next head football coach. That's what I'm projecting and forecasting. I think that guy's going to be the next Los Angeles Chargers head football coach. Hey, Devon, I think he's got a losing record in bowl games. I mean, look at JM by the book. It's in the rule book. So is punching below the belt, but you still do it. So is stepping up. So is holding. Okay, but you still do it. Holding's illegal, but you do it on every play. Lane Johnson has an illegal procedure play every time he pass protects. Okay, every time he pass protects, it's illegal procedure. It's in the book, but he does it anyway. Okay? Hey, he does something illegal. By the way, real quick, oh my God, you're never going to hear this anywhere but here. Tone, James, are you ready why the brotherly shove is going to be X-nayed next year in the NFL? Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol because of quarterback sneak. Now, is it true? The 49ers are saying that he got injured in the scrum. In the scrum. Player health, player injury is going to be why they stop it. Now, tell you what, you know why no one else works it and gets it done? Look at Brock Purdy's rear end. Look at Jalen Hurts' rear end. Look at his legs compared to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy looks like Ichabod Crane. Jalen Hurts looks like a fullback. What do you think's going to happen with that shove? Brock Purdy? That guy's got a flatter ass than me. Okay? I mean, Hoss, you ain't getting any push and shove off that thing. That ain't working. And I'm not going to go overboard, Tone, but you know what I mean. You ain't getting anything out of that guy's ass the way hey, that ain't happening. Dude, you could probably iron your shirt on Brock Purdy's ass. I'm not going to go overboard with anything and say anything that kind of, could be misconstrued. But I'm just saying, like, if I needed to, like, iron my pants and my shirt, I would take Brock Purdy's ass, lay him flat, and then iron my shirt. You ain't getting a shove off that guy's ass. That ain't working. Hey, that guy ain't got no power in his legs. Holy shit. Come on, Niner. You guys tried that brotherly shove twice, and you got stuffed. How embarrassing, man. How you doing? The long back Purdy. Thank you, Twiz. Twiz, always there to always bring to bring everything to center. Holy cow. No, I'm not an ass man. I just know where I see power. Power comes from your ass, not a billboard ass. Just saying. And particular people happen to have billboard asses. And Brock Purdy fits the mold. Just saying. Just saying. All right, I wrote a couple lists down here before we get going. And I got to say something, man, because of this whole storyline. And by the way, this storyline this week is clearly going to be Jalen Hurts' health going into the Commander game. Okay? It's clearly going to be his health. It may tell us a lot more about what's been going on with the offense over the last couple weeks. Now, I've got a theory on this. And for me, I'm going to get to that here in a second, but I wrote this down. I saw CBS put something out. And CBS put out 7 teams that they believe will be playoff teams and are playoff teams right now as we're getting into the halfway point of the season. Okay? Sirianni started unnecessary drama. Why would you? Well, you know what? I got to tell you, though, Lord, one thing, maybe they're trying to get ahead of it so it doesn't become an even bigger thing. I thought about it last night. Why would they do that? I mean, why would they do that unless they wanted to get ahead of something? Like maybe shutting him down for a week. Just saying. I mean, I'd rather have you shut Jalen Hurts down now than later in the year when you're going to be fighting for home field. Tell you this, a lot is going to be determined this weekend about how you put Jalen Hurts on a pitch count. What if Dallas and San Francisco loses? Would you think about sitting him with a 2-3 game lead? You'd have a 3-game lead or a 2-game lead on the Cowboys. And you'd have a 2-game lead on the 49ers. Would you think of doing that? Just throwing it out there. So, again, CBS wrote these 7 teams. Seahawks 7, Jags 6, Dolphins 5, 49ers 4, Ravens 3. By the way, the Ravens are the number 1 contender for Derrick Henry. How about Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on the same team with Odell Beckham and that kid Zay Flowers and the tight end? Scary. You put Derrick Henry on the Ravens with the number 3 O-line in the league, how do you think that thing will look? How do you think that will look with Derrick Henry running the ball back there with him? You might not be able to defend that. If you're the Ravens, do you do that to protect? See, to me, if I'm the Eagles, I also have to be thinking about Derrick Henry. Shit, you just made a move for their safety. Why not go back and knock on the door for Derrick Henry? Doesn't that make the most sense on protecting Jalen Hurts from even having to get outside the pocket? Is just turning handed to Henry? If you want to protect your quarterback, don't you go get Derrick Henry? Let me get to, because that's kind of the topic a little bit here. Eagles 2 and Kansas City 1. So Seahawks, Jags, Dolphins, Niners, Ravens, Eagles, Chiefs. That's what CBS has. Here's who I have. I got Bills, Dolphins, Jags, Niners, Ravens, Eagles, Chiefs. Those would be my 7 teams that I think. Big Seals, how you doing, man? I respect your channel, man. Quick question. Do you think since Hurts' knee injury, will our OC dial up less QB runs? Martin, thank you. I think that's kind of where also we're going here. So let's get to Martin. Are the Eagles doing a good enough job in protecting Jalen Hurts, in your opinion? This will be the 3rd year in a row. There's some, until it's listed, let's do this. There's an issue because the Eagles made an issue of it. We didn't. The Eagles did. They made an issue of it. Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles are doing a good enough job protecting Jalen Hurts? You know, you can make a comment about hey, this is not an uncommon question. You think Cincinnati's doing a good enough job protecting Joe Burrow when you got one of the shittiest offensive lines in the league and you just made him the highest paid player in the National Football League? You might want to think about putting Derrick Henry on that team. You might want to think about getting a running game for that guy. You might want to get some more old linemen for that guy before that guy breaks. There's a better, hey, by the way, I would say this to you, just to be fair along the lines of Jalen, when I tell you about him not having a big ceiling, who do you think plays longer, Joe Burrow or Jalen? I don't know. My money might be on the guy in Philly. My depending on what this knee looks like. Okay? I don't know about the guy in Cincinnati. This guy, it misses time. Like significant time. And you don't have an ownership group that's willing to spend a shitload of money. Hey, when Jamar Chase's deal comes up, you think he and T. Higgins are going to be on that football team? I want to see that. I want to see if Zipper Wallet Mike Brown, the owner and GM of the team, keeps those 2 dudes on that. I want to see that. I don't believe it. They pretty much got the same stuff that's going on in Miami, but at least the Dolphin down there, Stephen Ross, will spend dough. They'll spend some money. You think the Eagles do a good enough job in protecting Jalen Hurts? Go get Derrick Henry. Would Derrick Henry help the Eagle offense? By the way, the Titans can't be thinking you're going to give him a first-round pick. They can't think that. Saquon Barkley's younger. No one offered a 1 for him. Nobody. Dalvin Cook is younger. Dalvin Cook is probably the top 3 running backs in the league when he was in Minnesota. They cut him. They cut him. Tell you what, I think the Ravens, hey, get this. I wouldn't put it past the 49ers to go get him. You know, right now you're looking at McCaffrey. He's kind of like wobbling a little bit. I wouldn't put it past the 49ers to go get him. You see, right now, man, there's a 3-headed monster. It's the Cowboys, it's the Eagles, and it's the 49ers in the NFC. And there's some players out there that can help. Hunter Renfrow can help somebody. I think Hunter Renfrow is a great fit for Dallas. A great fit for Dallas. I mean, imagine putting Henry behind Jalen. your offense automatically gets back into what its identity is by running the ball, and those wide receivers would be so wide open. It would be insane, the windows that he would be able to throw. You know, the one thing that you are not seeing right now, you're really not seeing a power run game that Philadelphia has unless it's Hurts running the ball. You really don't. It's like, it's not, it just doesn't look as powerful as it did a year ago. You put Derrick Henry back there behind Jason Kelsey and Landon Dickerson and Mulata and Lane, man, it looked like Earl Campbell running a ball back in the day. It looked like Adrian Peterson. It would be insane. You automatically become the number one contender in the National Football League. What would you give up for Derrick Henry? What would you, if you're Howie, what would you give up? By the way, I don't know what his number is and how much money he makes. So again, that would be also an impact on the move that you would have to make with Tennessee to get him. I don't think that you're going to have to give them a ton, because if they're putting him on the open market, nobody's going to give you a 1 for Derrick Henry at 30 years old or 28, whatever he is. Nobody's doing that. This guy's on his last contract. He's probably got 2 years of great ball. Your red zone issues evaporate in one call. $16 million cap hit. You'd have to give a 2 and a 3. And make them eat a lot of the contract, or at least half of it. And then you prorate it out. Okay? Your red zone completely goes away, doesn't it? All your issues. Hey, can you imagine him doing the brotherly shove? Putting him at center or a quarterback, letting that guy, you couldn't stop that either. JM, it's a great question for a rental. I think we're looking at a running back that's kind of on the back nine. You think he goes out in the open market and he gets an enormous contract of $10 million? I don't think so. There's a lot of miles. This guy's a 300 carry guy. I think one year he carried the ball like 390. Sign running back for Ned and trade for Surtain. I'd rather have Derrick Henry. My defense won't be on the field much. Derrick Henry helps my quarterback, my receivers, my red zone, everything. Patrick Surtain helps the pass rush, the linebackers, but you're going to have to, he's 24 years old. You're going to have to give a ton up for him. Wow, JM goes, I'll do it. Wow, JM. Interesting. Derrick Henry is going to land. Hey, Derrick Henry is going to land in San Francisco, Dallas, Baltimore, or Philly. You can't if that guy goes to the Cowboys, their red zone issues are over too. And all of a sudden, you get back in the game on being a power team with that dude. Derrick Henry can change your fortunes. He can change your fortunes. He's like you heard Blaine Bishop yesterday, who does broadcasts for the Titans pre and post. He said Henry hasn't lost anything. He's still a 1,500-yard back. Well, shit, man. That guy's still got juice in the tank. I'd like to squeeze that last bit of it out of him. And doesn't that protect your quarterback? Doesn't that put you back in a position where it helps your QB if he is struggling with any kind of injuries? Sills, what do you think Howie's next move is before the deadline? Henry had very little mileage his last 2 years. Yeah, that's right, LJ, because 2 years ago, right, he missed half the season, came back last year and had 1,500 I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, LJ, do me a favor. I think last year he had 1,536, something like that, right? 1,556. I think he finished second in rushing to the kid in Vegas. So, I mean, what will be Howie's next move? Hey, Boza, it's 16 million, so it would have to be. I wouldn't mind giving a 2 and 3 up for him to win a Super Bowl. Okay? Maybe then you could put Gainwell over on special teams. First 2 years he did those big carries. Okay. Dude, Derrick Henry's a perfect fit. I agree, Big Pickin'. He's a perfect fit for the Eagles, man. Power guy, power team. Red zone issues, quarterbacks. Let's just go like this. Let's compromise and say, nicked up. Okay? Nicked up. Howie's next moves. Interesting. I'm going to get to the coordinators here in a minute. Concerning and wrapped around here with Jalen a little bit. What's the most pressing need right now? We'll gladly give up a 2 or 3 for the. That's how you look at it, Q. When you ask the question, would you give a 2 or 3 up? Here, Q, if you're Arizona, would you give a 2 or 3 up for Derrick Henry? No. Why? What's the end game? But you're in Philly or Baltimore or San Francisco, would you give a 2 or 3 up to win the Super Bowl? That's how you look at it. That's why it's a different conversation. Philadelphia, when they make deals, has different conversations than 90% of the NFL teams. You see that, right? Look at Arizona. Why would Arizona call Tennessee? Hey, is Derrick Henry available? Why? Yeah, give me a 1. Arizona has no leverage. Okay? They have no leverage, and it makes no sense. You're going to get stuck. If you're Arizona, you're going to have to pick up the money and give 2s and 3s. Titans aren't doing that. A team like Philly, you know what else, too? What becomes significant here is that when you do business, you guys call it fleecing. I call it good business practices. Don't you guys look at how Howie calls the same teams, Mickey Loomis and Tennessee, and they still deal with them? Why do you think that is? Because there's a great working and trust relationship between the two GMs and organizations. No one's trying to get over on anybody. Okay? And those conversations must be honest. For him to be able to pick the phone up after hijacking A.J. Brown from them, and for him to go back and get the guy from Tennessee, Mike Vrabel had to okay that. He called. So you think that the Tennessee, I forget his name, what it was, Peterson and them guys, I think it was. And you think Mickey Loomis is stupid? Mickey Loomis has as many Super Bowl rings as Howie Roseman does. Mickey Loomis is not stupid. You don't have any more rings than Mickey Loomis. Howie does not. And is Howie a better GM than Mickey? I don't know. Kind of the same success. Won Super Bowl. Lost one too. or an NFC title game, excuse me. Mike Vrabel had to okay this, but look who he calls. He calls people that are great talent evaluators. Mickey Loomis and John Schneider in Seattle, Mike Vrabel, Tennessee, all these organizations that they deal with, these are organizations that they know when they look at their rosters, there's guys on the roster and they're fabulous in roster building and they know what they're doing and how he has a relationship. You notice that Howie's not calling. He's not calling Arizona. He's not calling Arizona. Guess this. He'd rather not have Budda Baker and take the guy in Tennessee who's never missed time. Howie wants durability right now on his team. That's why he went and got Kevin Byard. He went and got him because the guy's durable and he's going to play immediately. Budda Baker gets banged up, misses time. Professor, hey, Sills, they seem to like running Hurts and short yardage. Doesn't a power back help keep him? That's why I'm saying, how does Derrick Henry not make sense here? If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I'd do whatever it takes to get him and you win the Super Bowl. You'll run over Kansas City. You'll run over Buffalo. You'll crush the Cowboys. Let me say this to you. Who's the back that killed them from Arizona? You might run over the Niners. Who's that back from Arizona that ran over Dallas? Who? I don't even know who it was. Somebody ran 240 yards. That team ran for 248. The kid from Pitt, James Conner, the kid from Pittsburgh. Holy, that had like lymphoma when he was at Pitt. That kid. The Eagle top targets are Brian Burns. To replace Brandon Graham, Patrick Surtain and Derrick Henry. Howie means business. Man, that's incredible. Yeah, he beat cancer in college when he was at Pitt. It's a great story. He's the guy that ran over the Cowboys. You put Derrick Henry behind that Philadelphia Eagle offense, you'll be a better football team than you were a year ago. Your entire unit gets better because your defense won't be on the field that long because that guy and that offense, shit, dude. Hey, Jalen, how many passes do you want? 20? I'm going to turn and hand it to that dude until the wheels fall off. You imagine how good DeAndre Swift would be with him? DeAndre Swift, get this offense. Just envision it and have a fantasy with me here for a minute. DeAndre Swift, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, who played with him, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and that line in Hurts. Is there anything comparable? The Cowboy teams back in the 90s? It'd be the most explosive offense I've ever seen. And I'm talking from a power angle, not from a finesse angle like the greatest show on turf. That's different. You put Henry can be had. They're shopping him. They're shopping him. 91 Bills, you think that would be that dominant, JM? Was it Lofton and Reed that were the receivers? The tight end was decent. Ken Hall was the center. Thurman Thomas, Kelly. I'd still take the Eagle. I'd take the Eagle offense with Henry. Shit, you'd have Hall of Famers. You wouldn't just have Pro Bowlers. You'd have Hall of Famers in your huddle. You know what? I'll take the Eagle offense versus the NFC Pro Bowl team. I would battle the NFC in a Pro Bowl with the Eagle offense. I'd like to see you beat them. LT and Michael Turner back in the early 2000s with Phillip Rivers. That was a pretty good group too. And Hardwick as the center. Some pretty good offensive linemen in that group. Plus, you had a bunch of good wide receivers on that football team. Very, very powerful football team, but nothing like this. Nothing like this. Hey, Niner, it wouldn't put it, and I wouldn't put it past John Lynch to be kicking the tires on Derrick Henry too. Because why else does that make sense? He's not in the AFC anymore. The worst thing that you can have happen if you're Tennessee, he lands in Kansas City. Or he lands in Pittsburgh with Najee. Or he lands in Baltimore. You don't want to trade him to Baltimore. Tennessee trading Derrick Henry to Baltimore? I don't know, man. That would hurt. Yeah, okay, what am I getting? Yeah, well, okay, I guess. Get him out of the conference, man. Lynch doesn't need a quarterback. Barb goes like this. John Lynch needs a quarterback. Kyle Shanahan coached 3 different quarterbacks to a 13-win team last year in an NFC championship. Didn't matter who was quarterbacking last year. They still got to the NFC title with 3 different dudes. That's why, again, everyone's going like, hey, they're going to lose to Cincinnati. Really? Well, let's check that out. Because I don't think Cincinnati is what Cincinnati's been in the past. They don't look strong. And I've seen Kyle Shanahan scheme up a quarterback and win some ball games. You're going like this. Sam Darnold is not going to win. I don't know. Who's coached Sam Darnold before? Todd Bowles? Who else? Who was the Jets guy? Who was the guy down in Matt Rule? Now he's got Kyle Shanahan. It's a whole different deal. Okay? It's a whole different deal here. Doesn't this protect your quarterback? Doesn't it? How likely would he do something like, hey, does Jalen Hurts' injury make him rethink? Because I'm going to go down the line of what Tone says. By the way, we got a special guest today, too. We're going to kind of veer off a little bit on football, and we're going to talk with our friend Curt Schilling at 4:30. What happened to the Phillies? That'll be at 4:30. Jason Cole at 5:30. The segment with my friend Tone at 3:30. We will do that. So we will have Curt Schilling at 4:30. He's a huge Eagle fan, too, by the way. Dude loves the Eagles, man. Wait till you hear him what he says about the Eagles and his relationship with the Philadelphia Eagles. Also, please do us a favor. Make sure you fill out your information during our great giveaway when it comes to trying to win these gift certificates from our friends at Hooters as they're celebrating their 40th anniversary. All you have to do is email the show at dansilioshow@gmail.com. You get a chance once again to win yourself those gift certificates. There's the email, dansilioshow@gmail.com. And on top of that, what you get the idea is when you do this here, man, you get some merch and you get an opportunity to hear your name called out on Monday, on a football Monday. And you'll see a code word that Tone will throw out throughout the 4 hours. And maybe you're a winner like Christopher from Pennsylvania and Ken from Massachusetts. So we look forward to that. And we hope that you'll play along with us. All you have to do is fill out that information. So again, Tone, the segment, 3:30, Curt Schilling, 4:30, and we will have Jason Cole from Yahoo Sports. That'll be at 5:30. So one of my favorite big game pictures of all time and one of the great sportsmen of all time, our good friend Curt Schilling will join us again. I like Curt Schilling's criticism of the Biden. We talk sports here like that. You know, when I get a guest on, I'm not breaking down administrations. I have no interest in that, nor do you. Nobody has an interest in that. Okay, I want to know what happened to those Phillies. 3-2 lead, man. Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island is now the new name of Citibank. So we'll talk to the man who, by the way, played at Arizona too, won himself an MVP award with Randy Johnson. So we'll talk with him on that. Appreciate everybody. Please hit the like button. All right. Let's move on to this topic here. Are the Eagles protecting Hurts or Brian Johnson by coming out and making his knee an issue? Who are they protecting? You know, I struggled with this all night on why, if his name has not been put at any time the last couple of weeks on the injury report. If he's not on the injury report, are you using this as an excuse for Brian Johnson? Would it be beneath him? No, because Nick Sirianni's fallen on the sword before for guys. Now, Jalen is wearing a brace. He's not wearing the brace to protect Brian Johnson. He's not going to just put it on and go, hey, you know what? Let's run a scam on him. That's not what that is. No, I don't think Hurts lied. I don't think the Eagles are lying. I just think that, again, they've gotten out in front of this for one. There's a reason just like in anything, political, financial, you want to get ahead of something before it explodes in your face, right? Why are they doing this as a precursor to what they think could happen? Now, do I think Jalen is really hurt? Like significantly? I don't think he's hurt significantly today, but I think they're concerned about it in week 14. You feel me? I think it's something that they're seeing get worse every day. And I have to think that that's why they're getting ahead of it. Like going into week 8, I don't think they're doing this. You know, I think they're looking down the line here. If this thing progressively gets worse and we got to sit him and he misses some games like Deshaun Watson or like Lamar Jackson has, I don't want anybody to be shocked that it pops up like this. You feel me? I think this is more about what might be down the line, and they're getting ahead of it. Because if you don't have him on the list today, your concerns are about tomorrow. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, don't you agree? This is something that, again, that they're prepping for. How about this? Devon says this, getting to the bye week. They've got to be targeting that. Getting to the bye week has to be, when is that? In 2 weeks? Right? In 2 weeks, the bye is? Right? Because you got the Commanders, then you got the Cowboys, and then I think you got a bye after the Cowboy game, right? Then you come out of that bye, I think you have the Chiefs. Jalen ain't on an injury report. LJ is just not really in tune then with what the story has been this week. Okay? Nothing's hypothetical when a guy's in a knee brace. So, LJ, is the knee brace a mirage? Was the knee brace a mirage? So Jalen's just wearing a knee brace for shits and giggles, right? Wait a minute, Prince. See, get this. See how people are now. The story this week with this quarterback, and the story for me since I've been talking to you is that dual threat guys don't last long, and you have to be careful with how you play them and how you put players around them. I've never wavered off this. I've never told you that Jalen is not getting better. I've never said that. I've said he will break down. And that's been my contention for 3 years. And we're seeing this play out. He's breaking down a little. So if you're Philly, you've got to do things to manage him better or put pieces around him. Do you think there's any coincidence that he's got a knee issue and you don't have a red zone issue and you don't have a red zone offense? Or he's it. And you don't have a red zone back. He's it. This is not hypothetical. You don't wear hypothetical and imaginary knee braces when you've not worn them before. This is a concern, whether you like it or not. And more importantly, it's not a hypothetical. It is a reality. It's a reality. Callie Green says, I'm wishing. No, I'm telling you, dual threat quarterbacks break down. You know this and I know this. They're not 15-year guys. They don't play every game every year. None of them do. You know this. It's not wishful thinking. Why would I want the most explosive player on your team to be injured to cover Marcus Mariota? Ask yourself that. Really? You think that I want Hurts to get hurt so I can cover Marcus Mariota? Why in the world would I want that? Who in the world would listen to that? I like covering polarizing people and topics, not people nobody care about anymore. You completely don't still get me. You know, when some of you say this, Sills, you don't get Philly. You don't get me. I would never want that guy injured. In a million years. Why would I want that? To cover Mariota? In a 7-10 team? Why? Just completely dumb. Brian says, Sills, you called it Hurts being injured this before the season even started. I said he won't play 17 games. I did say that. It's style of play. And the question marks are going to be how they ran him. Okay? And by the way, there is one issue that I do have with Hurts lying and covering potentially for Brian Johnson. Jalen Hurts lied when he was at the press conference yesterday. Do you guys know where the lie was? Maybe it was he didn't recollect, or maybe he didn't. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That guy doesn't come off like a bullshit artist or liar to me. So I'll give him the benefit. He must not have remembered. Okay? Jerome, it's Sileo only narrative on black quarterbacks. Yeah, that black quarterback, that brother up in Buffalo. Yeah, man. That dual threat quarterback in Buffalo, that brother up there. Yeah, man. Boy, he's also got to stop running. That brother up in Buffalo's got to stop running. Holy cow, man. He's going to end up getting himself killed, that brother. Unbelievable. Somebody better help that brother up in Buffalo, because that guy, that dual threat guy, the way he plays, he going to get hurt too. Somebody better help the brother up there in Buffalo. Twist, light-skinned Allen. It's a Quez. They've been calling me that bullshit for years, man, not knowing anything about me. It's all good. Thank you very much, man. It's all good. Hey, Hey, let me say this to you. Do we all agree that Jalen got hurt in that Chicago game running, not throwing in the pocket, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he was and is trying to cover for Brian Johnson. That's what made me think he's covering for Brian Johnson a little bit here because he got hurt running in Chicago. Okay? Right? He got hurt running the ball out of the pocket in Chicago. And he got hurt his first year starting out of the pocket when he missed the Jets game or the Giants game. I forget which one it was. Right? Didn't you say he doesn't know his shit? And that's why I backed up on it, Tone. He's not a liar. But why would he say that when he knows full well that he got hurt running the ball? I mean, it's an obvious misremember. I'm going to use the Roger Clemens line. Tone, have you ever taken PEDs? This is the question they asked Roger Clemens. I misremembered. I was like, come again? I must have missed that in English 101. Misremembered? What's that? Is that like a new high ankle sprain? I misremembered. But Jalen went out of his way to tell everyone, hey, I've never been hurt running the ball. I've only been hurt in the pocket. What? That's not true. That's not true. You missed games last year because and to Tone's point, yeah, absolutely you don't know anything. Why would you say then something that's not true? Why not just say nothing? I don't remember that. I mean, it's almost like they're going out of their way. Right? Talk about Slay is washed. He is. Look at his rating. He's in the 60s. He's one of the worst corners in the league right now. The other guy's not playing much better. Why not say when it happened? It's really a crazy, weird thing going on there. It's like they want to address it, but they don't want to address it. And this leads me to think this. Is this maybe why Brian Johnson is not calling the right plays right now for him? Because he's limited in the playbook? And because the organization is limiting certain plays to be called? And that's why it doesn't look in rhythm? So would it tell us more about Brian Johnson? Look, I don't believe that Jalen Hurts is lying in any way. It's a little bit of a fib, though, that he said that he got hurt in the pocket and he's never been hurt out of the pocket, which is not true. Chicago proved that. And even in his first year. So let's just move on from that. Okay. He's protecting someone. Who? The coordinator? His buddy? All right. He doesn't want to say that he put him. See, to me last year, I think Shane Steichen put Jalen Hurts in a poor situation. And you're in Chicago. You're running him against Chicago. Why? You had Miles Sanders. What did Buffalo do the next week? I mean, the quarterback didn't even throw maybe 20 times. And they ran the ball for almost 200 yards against Chicago, who had one of the worst run defenses. And all you had to do was run the ball on Chicago, and you would have blew him out. Instead, you're running your quarterback around, and he got hurt in a meaningless football game. Could have cost you an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. Okay? I mean, coaching staff put him in harm's way last year in Chicago. I still believe that. You're going to run that guy, and you're going to have him sit back and throw passes against the Chicago Bears when they had the 32nd worst run defense in pro football last year, and you were number 2. The Bears were 1. You were 2. And you're throwing the ball against the shittiest run defense in the league. I didn't get how they put him in that position, but they did, and he got hurt. Chicago was a shoulder. Yeah, when he took off running. Chicago last year is when Hurts ran right and he got teacupped, man, to his shoulder. Definitely out of the pocket, but not necessarily a run. Blurry line there, but it was a scramble and he was out of the pocket. A sack in Chicago game is where he was hurt. Dude, it wasn't in the pocket. He was out of the pocket up the field. What are you talking about? Great line. He took off and a guy picked him up and dumped him. Still spending more time hoping Jalen gets hurt than he does talking about Brock Montana MVP actually being hurt. I have to put that together when I'm on my Etch-a-Sketch. When I'm figuring, you see, when you talk with LJ, you have to use an Etch-a-Sketch. It's before your time, Tone. You have to use an Etch-a-Sketch to kind of like figure out what the hell he's saying. I don't give a shit about Brock Purdy's injury right now. I care about the end of the year. The 49ers and the Eagles are the two teams. This is a race to see who wins home field advantage. Plain and simple. Those are the two dogs in the NFC. The Cowboys and Lions are kind of trying to knock on the door. This is a race to see who has, hey, whether the 49ers may not have the better record than you, but if they're healthier than you, they'll beat you. And if you're healthier than them, you'll beat them. And if you're both healthy, let's flip a coin and see and play 60. Personally, I think that game's a coin flip. And even with the way they've played, I'll tell you something that's happened in San Francisco. That Dallas game, better stop reading your press clippings, dudes. You beat the shit out of the Cowboys by 30? Well, I don't know. That's the difference between the 49ers and the Eagles right now. If the Eagles had done that to the Dallas Cowboys and beat them up like that, it would have been on to the next game and never looked back on it. They're used to kicking the shit out of teams. 49ers aren't. It's almost like they're in a new place right now. Same thing to the Dolphins. Dolphins got a reality check. Do you know what the Eagles did to the Dolphins could cost the Dolphins 2 straight losses because of what they did? Because now you put doubt in their mind. Damn, are we good or not? Well, your record says you're 5-2. Does it? So wait a minute. When you look at the Dolphins' record now at 5-2, and you look at another team like, say, Baltimore, do you look at Baltimore at 5-2 and look at the Dolphins at 5-2 and go, yeah, same team? I don't. I look at Baltimore and go like this. That Baltimore team, without Derrick Henry, could kill that Dolphin team, I think. The records in the NFL don't matter unless it has something to do with home field advantage. Because when you get into the playoffs, how many times do we see the team with the lesser record knock a team off? We see it every year. It doesn't matter who's healthiest. That's why every week, people go like this. Sills is flip-flopping on this thing. That's because every week in the NFL is different. Whether you like to hear that or not, every single week, the league is different. 3 weeks ago, people were calling the 49ers the best team in the NFL. Now there's question marks. Is that a flip-flop? I still think they are one of the top 3 teams. I still think, I have not changed. Now, do I think they're not healthy? They're not healthy. That's a fact. It's part of it. Nobody in their right mind would think that the Eagles would be the same without Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown. Nobody would think that unless you're an idiot. Unless you're a total idiot. Most say he's injured from an ankle, and Hill has a hip injury after the Eagle game. They got beat up. Warrior, that's what happens, man. You play a team like Philly or San Francisco, you're going to drag your ass for a couple weeks on that. Okay? You're gonna drag your ass on. You're gonna drag your ass. Ho goes Sills flip flops. So wait a minute. Brock Purdy has a bad game where he throws 2 picks. He's a shitty quarterback that Monday, even though the team is 5-2, right? So is Jalen Hurts a shitty quarterback because he threw 3 picks in the Jets game? No. But to you, Purdy is dumb. 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 Just dumb. Nobody's going to remember those games come January. Okay? 49ers were 5-0. So they're 5-2. Do you actually think you're going to lose one game the rest of the way out? Do you think if the Eagles lose 3 more games, let's just throw 3 more out, okay? And they're 13-4. Do you actually think that I would have a lesser opinion of them if they ended the season 13-4? Who would do that? As a matter of fact, if you end the season 13-4 this year, you would have had a better year than you did last year. You know why? You're playing better teams and not that stiff schedule you played a year ago. That's why. Every week, the NFL, hey, the ones that are smart in here, okay? The ones that are smart in here, you do agree every week the NFL is a different story. And there's a different storyline every week. And just like many of you who like Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz blew up, you flip-flopped on him. You don't want to admit that, but you did. And you flip-flopped on Hurts. But that's okay because, again, as I tell you, players get better, players get worse. It's not a flip-flop, it's reality. 99.9% of you in here flip-flopped on Carson Wentz. You know it. You thought he was the answer at quarterback and the franchise guy. But see, Matt, it's not a flip-flop. Wentz's play went the other day. What are you supposed to do? Continue to cheer for a guy who's shitty? Look at Dave. Guy finished second in the MVP award, and Dave was sold he sucked. When he finished in the same list that Jalen was this year, he finished third. 6 years ago, Carson Wentz finished third on that same list that Hurts finished third this year. And I'm sure he thought he sucked. Why'd we draft Hurts in the second round? What's the point of that? Might be Howie's best move outside of that Josh Sweat pick. Or I would say in the last 20 years, your best draft selection, Kelsey. And the last 20 years, the Eagles' best draft picks, Kelsey, Lane, Sweat. I'm not putting them in order. Fletcher. Nice start, Jalen Carter. Could be Jordan Davis. Devontae. Josh Sweat for sure. What I love about those picks, Jordan Mailata is a 7th rounder, Josh Sweat's a 4th rounder, and Jason Kelsey's a 6th rounder. And they're all pros. That's freaking incredible. That's freaking incredible. All those late round guys or mid round guys, that's absolutely insane great. Kelsey's like a 6th, right? 5th, something like that. Sweat's a 4th. Sills played in the NFL. Tell us, is the NFL rigged? JB, it's not rigged, but the NFL rigs the game. You want me to tell you how they rigged the game? Do you guys, I'll tell you before we take a time out here. Do you know how the game is rigged? How do you think the NFL is rigged? What would you say rigs the game? What rigs the game? No, do I think the referees are? No, I do not. There's not Tim Donaghy. There's not Tim Donaghy's. No, I do not. There you go, JM. It's the schedule. And it's win-loss record. It's standings and schedule that manipulate the game. What happens if you finish last in your division? You get the easiest schedule the following year, and you get the number 1 pick. So what they do is they give you the best kitty of players to choose from to get your team back, and they give you the weakest schedule for your fan base so you can sell tickets and then fool your fans with a 500 record when it's fool's gold, and you turn around and play a harder record the next year, and then you're back to winning 7 games. That's how the league manipulates the game with its fans so they stay engaged. The league doesn't like dynasties. They like mediocrity. They want everybody. They don't want a 14-3 team or 14-4 team. They don't want that. That's not what they want. They want everybody hanging around 12 wins that are the good ones and everybody else winning 6 games because it keeps everybody engaged and buying season tickets and merch. Nobody's going to buy merch from a team that's constantly in the cellar. So when a team like Jacksonville, the Jags are a great example of that. They get a coach, they get a quarterback. They've had a bounty of picks. They went out and got Calvin Ridley. They turned around, got NTN and Trevor Lawrence, got a great coach. Now you're winning ball games. You had a ton of years of picking in the top 5. Well, it's catching up now. Same with the Bills. The Bills were cellar dwellers forever. KC won a Super Bowl and has an easy schedule. Eagles lose and have the hardest. 49ers get to the NFC Championship game and have like the 18th hardest. That I don't get. I think it has a lot to do with the divisional plays and also how they match up those conferences. They say they do it by computer. I don't believe that. Remember the year that the Buccaneers ended up winning the Super Bowl? Well, they came out of the wild card that year to win the Super Bowl. And then the next year, they had an easy schedule too. And it was because they were the wild card. I mean, who's Kansas City played? Well, they opened up with Detroit. All right, guys, do me a favor. We're going to talk with our friend Tone at the bottom of the hour. Our great friends at Hooters. It's the 40th anniversary of what I'd like to call one of the greatest places for you to go and have a great time. All 7 of the locations from Rhode Island through Jersey, all the way down to King of Prussia. Go into any one of the 7 locations, Northeast Hooters. That's northeasthooters.com. And experience what I've been talking about now for 40 years. Look, if you don't want to go into any one of the facilities, use the app, HootersToGo.com, or try one of the legendary 40-year traditions that we have there. Buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays. Again, all you can eat, 1983, that's the year the place was founded. You have 6 items, $6. Hooters and football, what better matches do you have than that? NortheastHooters.com. That's northeasthooters.com. And when you roll in, do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.